Oh. What happened?
Good.
What happened? What's going on, Frank?
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio called Take My
Technical I'm going to hit it now. Okay. Something's going on. Frank, leave the button alone for me. I'll do it.
You are tuned into
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez has arrived at a New York court to be arraigned on federal bribery and corruption charges. The Democrat was indicted last week after being accused of accepting cash, gold bars, and gifts in exchange for using his influence to help businessmen and the government of Egypt. Despite calls from a growing number of Democrats to step down, Menendez has refused to resign and insists he's innocent. The Senate's unveiled a bipartisan stopgap spending bill aimed at keeping the federal government from shutting down this weekend. Michael Kastner has details.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
This bipartisan CR is a temporary solution.
The bill the Senate released on Tuesday sets up a contrast and a showdown with the House, where Republicans who narrowly control the chamber are deeply divided. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy noting the House will consider a separate stopgap measure likely on Friday.
The American soldier who crossed into North Korea is back in U.S. custody. Earlier Wednesday, North Korean state media announced U.S. Army Private Travis King would be expelled from the country. King was taken into North Korea custody in July after he bolted across the DMZ during a tour rather than board a flight back home to the U.S. The second GOP presidential debate will take place in California tonight. It will feature 7 candidates, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former Vice President Mike Pence, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. The event, hosted by Fox News, will once again be without former President Trump. The party's frontrunner will instead meet with striking UAW workers in Michigan. The Writers Guild of America strike is over. Chloe Malas reports.
The 148-day writers' strike is officially over. The WGA board and council releasing a statement late Tuesday saying that the new agreement unanimously passed and is now in the hands of guild members.
The agreement will increase minimums, raise contributions to health care and pensions, and give bonuses for residuals based on streaming views. AI-generated content, a big issue when the strike started, will not be considered source material. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
For over a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Open for takeout and delivery, El Tapiac Mexican food restaurant in the Tri-City Center of Redlands is back. Their entire family is on hand to serve up their delicious burritos, machaca, chorizo, huevos rancheros, steak and eggs, just part of their mouth-watering great food. Since 1531, people have marveled at the miracle of El Tapiac, and now you can marvel at the great food the Lugo family has been serving up for over 2 decades, nestled quietly in the corner of the Tri-City Center shopping mall next to Burlington Coat Factory. Support them. They can't wait to serve you some of their delectable, authentic, south-of-the-border Mexican fare at great prices, served up with love. Support the area's best-loved Mexican food restaurant in these tough times. Order up a tasty meal on the phone for delivery or takeout for breakfast, lunch, or dinner from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 909-307-0017. That's 909-307-0017. Or Google El Tapiac Redlands and treat yourself.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. North Korea is going to expel a U.S. soldier who was detained after he crossed into the isolated communist state 2 months ago. Private Travis King was taken into custody in July after he bolted across a DMZ during a tour rather than board a flight back home to the U.S., where he was facing military discipline. The Senate is unveiling a bipartisan stopgap spending bill aimed at keeping the federal government from shutting down this weekend. The bill the Senate released on Tuesday sets up a contrast and a showdown with a House where the Republicans who narrowly control the chamber are deeply divided. Target is closing 9 stores in 4 states due to organized retail crime in one of the city's losing stores. Brad Ford in Portland, Oregon.
Target says organized retail crime has put its employees and customers at risk. The company is offering affected workers opportunities to transfer to other stores. The closures will happen October 21st.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be
But I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. But I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so
Okay,
I can
come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah. And let's see, broadcasting, streaming on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Podchaser, Streaker, Spreaker, you name it, I'm there. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness, because there's so much out there with gossip and scandal and K-words. There's no Kanye, formerly or now, talk on this show, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the times. I have topics and guests. If you missed, let's see, the latest and greatest guests. There's just too many to choose. There's 1,027 to choose from, and you can get all of those shows on my YouTube TV channel. So please resubscribe. You'll get an alert every weekday morning to come on and chat with us. And we already have the Cashew Gallery in the house. We've got Maria from Colorado. We've got PJ from New York, and actually I think he's in Spain right now. So we've got some international in the house. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have a great show today. You will notice that it is Wednesday, because every time you see this beautiful woman who's beautiful inside and out, and my doctor sister, Dr. Tiffany Tate in studio, you know it's time for Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
And we are here for your listening and watching. There's a ghost on either Frank's computer or my computer that really wants that beat at the beginning of that intro, but it's to wake you. Obviously, somebody needs to be woken up. Could be me, although I am broadcasting live from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Those of you who don't know, this is Oh Canada, my not home now but native land. It was where I was born, and that's why I'm so grateful for technology that I can still come to you live and hook up with Dr. Tiffany Tate. So we're going to start right in with breakfast with Dr. Tiffany and I, where 8 things on the top of your bun are gratitudes, things outside of yourself that you love, like, and the bottom of the bun is things that you love and like about yourself. Why do we have breakfast first thing in the morning? Because that's the best chance we have to get the positive momentum growing and glowing and going. That rhymed. Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's on the other side in heaven right now, he said, if you start your day with 5 things you're thankful for, you will have a blessed day. So I'm an overachiever. recovering sometimes. I say 8 because eight's a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homophone for good fortune, and that's why we start at 8. Okay, there's the setup. Dr. Tiffany, take it away. What are you grateful for this morning?
I am grateful for my children.
Hmm. I am grateful for my uh, ability to. Oh no, that's appreciation. That my brother has a pool that I can still do laps in the morning and an exercise room in Canada.
Okay. I am grateful for water aerobics.
Good one. I am grateful for my cashew gallery.
I am grateful for my mom, T May.
I'm grateful for compliments that people can pay each other.
Mm. I am grateful for my playcast.
I am grateful for the fact that the planets did not crash into each other last night and we get to live another day to hug, hold, live, love, and learn.
I am grateful for my dog.
Hmm. I am grateful for my no dog. No, I'm not. I miss my grand dog son, but he's in San Francisco now.
I am grateful for my dog Walker.
And I think we overdid the 8. So let's move to the bottom of the button now. What do we like about ourselves? And Dr. Tiffany, why is it important to appreciate yourself?
Because it reaffirms you, and self love is very important, and it helps build your self esteem, and it motivates you and encourages you.
Exactly. And there's no side effects from
Nope,
that.
not at all.
If you, instead of reaching for a pill, it is a discipline. You got to do it every day, but it definitely works. But before you go to bed, what do you like about yourself?
I love my ability to sing.
I appreciate my ability to yak.
I love my ability to motivate others.
I appreciate my ability to read and sing the gospel according to Nike. Just do it.
I love my ability to be kind.
I appreciate my ability to be in the flow.
I love my ability to encourage.
And my last appreciation is I appreciate my ability to sit and feel without um, needing to uh, get mad at people most of the time.
And that's good because you don't need to do it 100% of the time. Sometimes you need to be a little bit angry.
88% of the time, fabulous. 12% of the time, I step into it. Thank you for joining us for breakfast. I promise you that if you do this for 28 consecutive days, you will sandwich your day in the most possible way, in the most positive way. All righty. And we are going to now introduce the topic. Dr. Tiffany actually chose this topic in the middle of last week's show.
Yeah.
And I texted her and said, "What are we talking about again?" Because I need a new external hard drive for memory. I'm telling you, but it's all good. What is the topic today, Doctor?
Taming this, the tongue. Because last week we talked about confronting confrontation. And as we were talking about it, we noticed that sometimes that little thing in the middle of our mouth, it does not necessarily always want to behave. And it is like a two-edged sword. And it can be as sharp as a knife or as deadly as a dagger. And we know that it can cut as deeply as such. And our words can be horrible. And it can be like a plate. Once you put them out and it can shatter. And just like a plate, you can't necessarily put it back together and salvage it. you can talk to people, and once the words are out there, it's like pouring out spilled milk. You can't necessarily put them back in a glass. You can apologize and you can try to work back through them. But it's a beast, it's a roaring lion. And once it's out there, it's out there. So, how do you address that? It is like the elephant in the room. And we know that we have two ears and one mouth. We should be slow to speak and we should listen twice as much as we speak, but we don't necessarily do that. And it's definitely a problem that we have.
Absolutely. I'm just putting today's link in the bio. I forgot to do that. But yes, absolutely 100% agree. And Dr. Phil, I've heard, I don't know who came up with this, but I love it. You cannot unring a bell. So once, like the spilt milk, once you ring that bell, it's done. No taking it back. Cannot unring it. Cannot put the milk back into the carton. You might be able to put some of it, scraping it in, into the carton, but it's usually picked up all bunch of gross stuff that was on the table in the first place. So, why do people get in trouble with their tongue? I thought that was a good jump off question to just establish the reason why we need to tame our tongue sometimes, because what is it that makes people think that they can say anything they want? So I have two. I'll let you think of where you think, and see if you agree with me on this one. One place is the amendments. So the right to speech, especially Americans, they take that literally, freedom of speech. So I can say anything that I want, whatever is on my mind. The second reason is some mostly Americans grow up thinking that everybody has a right to my opinion. And if I don't give it to you straight, if I am not brutally honest, if I don't tell you exactly what's on my mind, I'm doing you a disservice, because you need to know, don't you know, that you are fat, what's happened to you? How could you have let yourself go like that? Or, oh my gosh, did you see the picture of so and so, body shaming celebrities on the beach? Or don't you know that so and so is cheating on so and so? And somehow, and the internet and social media has definitely made our tongues get bad negative exercise in these kinds of things, because as soon as you see that post, you don't even validate it. If it's something mean, somehow that gets spread way quicker than a compliment. It's so easy to judge, criticize, say something mean, attack somebody, be brutally honest, and say, that's my right. That's the freedom to speech. I don't care. Don't take that away from me. And my response is, yes, you have the freedom of speech, but with everything you say, you have a responsibility for the consequences. Go ahead, say what you want, but remember that you get to feel the consequences of what it is you're saying. Go to.
I agree. And I think that people need to go back to what they were taught when they were children. Because when I was growing up, I was taught that it's better to if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And I think that people can think whatever, but they need to realize that they can't necessarily say whatever. And again, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And if you can't say something positive, maybe you should just keep your lips shut, smile and nod, because you are aware as to how would you feel if someone came up to you and said, "Oh, girl, that skirt, I would not have walked out of the house in that." And it's it's a thing where how would you feel if you were that person and you were to put yourself into that person's shoes? I don't think people really reevaluate how would I feel if I was that person. People don't think about those things nowadays. I think the internet has depersonalized things in such a way that people, in essence, have become bullies because they think that everyone is entitled to their opinion, and they don't think that, oh, my opinion is offensive, and oh, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't wear that, this is how they look, this is how they appear, oh, he's sleeping with her, she's sleeping with him, and they just lash out, not thinking that my actions have repercussions. And if they actually thought, okay, every action has a consequence, they might think twice before they did whatever they did. Because if we actually started thinking about A, B, C, and one, two, three, we might start thinking twice before we actually did whatever we were thinking about doing.
Exactly. ABC. Na na na. 1, 2, 3. That's where
Mhm.
I went.
Absolutely.
If you've just tuned in and wondering what's going on Take My Advice, I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, the station that leaves no listener behind. AM 1050, FM 106.05, 106.5, streaming everywhere. Then you'll know from the looks in the studio that we are on Wednesday in a very special series called Doctors in the House. And in case this is the first time you're tuning in on this particular series, I just wanted to give you a little background on Dr. Tiffany. She's a U.S. Navy veteran, published author, and retired OBGYN, still licensed from Compton, California. She is currently oh no, this is an older one that I had put up. She reinvented herself and made it into the top 6, I believe, in the Carla Hall cooking competition, was which was when she first started the series a little bit ago. And she's always trying to help people, helping the homeless. She is a published author of several books, and in the middle of the show, we're going to highlight some places she's going to be that you can actually go and get a book and get it signed. And my favorite one of her books that she wrote is called Bad Touching. It's a children's book that definitely helps kids understand what is not good and be able to have the courage to say something instead of suffer in silence. So that is Dr. Tiffany. You know who I am. I'm not going to say anything about that, but I am glad. Oh, we even have more people in the studio. We have more music saying good morning on my YouTube channel. Thank you for free subscribing there. Um, I love the topic today, which is, as Dr. Tiffany so illustrative, keep this under control, right? Does your cat have your tongue or does your dog have your tongue? I want you to harness. Both of us are encouraging. And the quick disclaimer, neither one of us are clinical psychologists or licensed marriage family um, therapists. However, we both are doctors. I'm a piled higher and deeper PhD doctor. Dr. Tiffany is an MD medical doctor, and that's why the series is called it as it. And we're giving you things, recommendations from our own experience, our own practice in coaching. Dr. Tiffany also does that. So just take everything that you hear with some seriousness, and but just know that we don't pretend to be someone we're not, but we are happy to be who we are. How's that? I'm going to write that one down. I like that. That's our new disclaimer. All right. I am going to toss it back to Dr. Tiffany when and ask you this question. Are there times though when it's okay to speak your mind? So if you're BFF or if you're, even an acquaintance, if they have lipstick, you know how lipstick sometimes gets like down here, or that outfit that they're trying on at the store doesn't bring out their best qualities, isn't that okay to say something that could be taken as a criticism or a negative, but it is actually a positive?
Absolutely, because you know who you can be honest with. Because if they are your friend or a girlfriend or a partner and they want your opinion and they're asking for your opinion and they want it and they request it and they are asking you, of course, you want to give them your honest opinion because they are asking you for your honest opinion. But if you are in the supermarket and somebody's in the produce section and it is a stranger, it is not up to you to walk up to Sally Sue, who you've never met before, and be like, "Ooh, girl, you do not look good in that. I recommend you go home and check." So those are apples and oranges, completely different fruits. So if you are out shopping with me and we are girls and we are hanging out and I'm asking you for your opinion and we're about to go to, Beyonce's Renaissance and I'm trying on my little silver outfit because I am asking you, okay, how does this look? I want to be fly and I want to look good and I want to look dope. And I'm like, okay, I'm asking you for your input. Or we're out at a restaurant and I just put on some makeup and I'm asking you, does this color look good on me? And I'm asking you for your opinion, or we've been eating and I've just been chowing down and I have lipstick that's going on my chin and I don't want to walk out of the restaurant looking crazy. I'm asking you, I'm soliciting you for your opinion. Yes, please give me feedback. Don't have me walking out looking like Ronald McDonald. Please help me out. Help a sister out. Okay, I want your input. I am soliciting your feedback. So it's different when we are girls and we are out, we are friendship, we have that camaraderie. So, yes, I don't want you to hold back and not help me out. But if you don't know me from the next man, then I don't want you to not help me. But it's also different if you're out and about and you're in a club and you see someone's tag hanging out of their dress and they just walked out of the bathroom or their slip is hanging out. You can walk up to another woman and be like, hey, your slip is hanging out or your tag is hanging out. I think that's common courtesy. But if you're walking out saying, "Ooh, you're too big for that," or "That really doesn't look good on you," that's more offensive. I think we have some general sense of what is nice and what is not general courtesy. But if you're like, "Ooh, that outfit just makes you look terrible," that's not nice.
Yeah,
We wanna know.
exactly. And if you point out the tag and don't assume that they're going to take the dress back either,
Yes, yes.
if they tuck it in. Yeah. So the good news is, and I think you would agree, the number one thing to do is stop before you say something and just ask yourself, you know, uh, is this the hill I want to die on? When to hold and when to fold. The fact that you can just pause before spilling the beans, before you say what's on your mind, the fact that you're actually looking and observing, I think that's one of the best skills, interpersonal skills a person can have, is not no knee jerk reaction. Notice how knee jerk reaction emphasizes the jerk you are. If you're knee jerking, that's I hold that very close because it's a reminder that most often, if I say something before that pause, it's likely to be jerky. It's likely to be something that I kind of wish I hadn't have said. And because I hate apologizing, I've gotten really good at listening, trying to breathe, and I'll just take a breath. And then the first thing I usually say is, "That's interesting."
Mhm. And we
You're
have a
not saying you agree or disagree, but just saying that's interesting gives you that space to ask, should I
Now we have
say
a
this?
comment in the chat saying, what if your friend has bad breath? And I would say always carry some mint or gum, because what you can do is offer them mint or gum. And that way they won't be offended, because most people will never turn down mint or gum. You don't have to say, ooh, your breath is humming, you got the dragon. Um, you can just pass it to them, and most people will never turn down mint or gum. I always teach my children, never turn down mint or gum, because you never know what it is. And what you can do as a way to not be offensive is you can check your own breath and be like, as a hint, and be like, hey, you want to check yours? And you can take the mint or gum, and that way they will check their breath as well. And that way it's a way to not be offensive and pass it to them, or you can take it and they can take it too, because
Absolutely.
we're all being friendly.
Absolutely. And I just want to direct this. This is the first time this has ever happened, but Maria just gave us $5. I didn't even know you could do this. I know PJ's trying to teach me how to better get out of the station or this particular TV channel more than I'm getting. But wow, Maria, you pop my virgin, give me money, show me the money button. Wow, thank you, Maria. That's so sweet. I also wanted to say hello. We have someone new here. Don't recognize the person, but Sabrina Alford is here, and she's getting a lot of love from both Maria and PJ, saying the lovely doc show and good advice. I would have given them a toothbrush. So, but it's a great point, because there's are some things that are kind of like awkward. The way that I deal with that is when if I'm developing a new friendship with people, I'll say, now, if there's something that I think that you would want to know, like, would you want me to tell you if you had bad breath or body odor? Those are the two things that I actually say. Is that okay? And they'll be like, of course, please do. I don't know. I haven't had one person say, no, that's fine. Keep that to yourself. I would want to know. I do things too, like putting a mint, or actually, what I do is take my mint out and say, would you like a mint? And almost always that person will go, you know, do I have bad breath? And I'll say, take the mint. Or I'll say, do you carry deodorant in your purse? That's sort of like the same thing as offering them a mint. So most people will think that it's about them and check it, right? So that's how I would handle that situation. Is pre-paving too. Is this something you want to tell me? I have been known to leave deodorant on someone's desk. I have been known to, leave a stick of gum, and it's because I care. But sometimes when people ask me for advice, like my daughters are famous for this, they'll go, Mom, what do you think I should do about blank, blank, blank? And I'll say, do you want me to answer honestly, or do you want to hear what you want me to say? And I'll say it just like that, so that they are, queued up, that they may not like what they're going to hear. So they
Mhm.
have the choice of which one do they want. And I'll do both, right? If they go, no, Mom, I just want to hear what I want you to say. I'll go, okay, then this is what I'll say. It works. It works on friends too.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially when it comes to your children, you have to decide how nurturing you want to be and how guiding you want to be. But when it comes to your friends, it can be a sticky situation because you also don't want to burn the bridge of that friendship. But if they are truly your friend, they'll be flexible and they'll be resilient and they will be receptive.
All right, we have another question from the Cashew Gallery. Orville Nation is asking, do you think some female doctors use sneaky pheromone tricks in dating? I have seen much of it myself. Well, Dr. Tiffany, if you know what he's talking about, I have no clue what that means.
No.
Okay,
Those
okay,
we-
it's not just me. So, I don't know if you're being sarcastic, because sarcasm is another service I offer. But sneaky pheromone tricks in dating. So
No.
you're gonna have to say
No.
that. If if you wanted me speechless, you got it, which is very difficult. Okay, not sarcasm, being scientific. Do I need to look this up, or are you going to tell me what it means?
There are no sneaky pheromone tricks. I wish I had some. If I did, I'd have men lined up for miles. Um, and I'd be a multimillionaire because I'd be using those sneaky pheromone tricks to have me multiple sugar daddies. Trust me, I wish I had them. I'm a board certified OBGYN. I would use them if I had them. I promise. I would use them to my advantage.
All right. Well, we'll wait to get the actual. Maria, do you know what PJ's talking about? Is it like using a special perfume that is, that makes the potion makes the men like sniff after your tail? I'm not quite sure. Okay, Sabrina's laughing too.
Yeah,
Orville
message me.
still
Put me in. I want those.
Orville is still not telling us exactly what he means. So I guess he's going to be doing this. He's keeping us in
Yeah,
suspense.
yeah. Find
But
me
if
on
you
Instagram and give me a clue. I want those things.
So if you've just tuned in and you're wondering what's going on in the studio this morning, it is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and on my YouTube TV channel, all 595 consecutive weeks of 1,027 shows. So you can free subscribe there and tune in and get other of this particular series and playlist there. I also have a red carpet playlist with interviews with people like Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, and The Temptations. So please do visit my YouTube TV channel. And we're talking about when to hold, when to fold, that thing called your tongue, which is really a great topic because it is, we want people to be happy. I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And I know that you will be happier if you can learn how to stop before you spill the beans, which might cause some gas, nasty gas, unless you ask yourself three questions before you speak. One, and I got this from Dr. David Simon, the co-founder of the Deepak Chopra Center or the Chopra Center. He taught us all this before he died at his living memorial. He said three questions to ask before you open your mouth. Is it kind? Is it true? And is it necessary? That keeps me from having to apologize most of the time. So, is it kind? Is it true? And is it necessary? That's my golden rule of spilling my beans.
I
What do you
think
think?
I think that's really good. There's a proverb in the Bible, and it says that it's better to remain silent than to be thought a fool. Because I think Proverbs 21:23 says to watch over your mouth and tongue and to keep silent is to keep out of trouble. Because even a fool is thought wise if he is to keep his mouth closed. So if you're keep your mouth closed, even everybody will think you're smart. So if you open your mouth, nobody will know that you don't know anything. And so you really need to watch what you say because less is sometimes more.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
it's better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Yeah,
And
I think it was Groucho Marx that said that. I didn't realize he got it out of um, the Bible, out of
Mhm.
out of Psalms. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Could be not Groucho Marx. I need to go look that up. But yes. So what are some strategies specifically? Since we're in the second half, we like to focus on solution. I just gave one, asking 3 questions.
Mhm.
You gave the example of, how is this a person that you want to be able to tell the truth to, certainly your bestie or whatever, who would want to know. I gave another strategy of, asking a person beforehand, pre-paving, is this something that you would want to know from me? Are there other strategies, Dr. Tiffany, that you
Mhm.
can offer for people to put that, shut the front door unless it is kind, true, and necessary?
Yes. I think it's important to always be straightforward. And you definitely want to say, okay, um, do I want to be open, be honest, and be candid? And when you don't approach it that way, you kind of erode your self-worth. And it's important to feel valued and have your opinion valued because you want to say, okay, is this the hill I want to, I want to die on? So you want to make sure that you feel heard. Um, I want to make sure that I can be upfront and make sure that this really matters to me because you want to feel heard and you want to make sure you um, take the time to explain and you want to speak slowly and take your time because you want to make sure everything is clearly enunciated because you don't want to make sure that you're not talking in circles and going round and round and round. So you want to make sure you can articulate yourself clearly.
Yeah, those are great points. I want to go back to the first one because I think it's important, especially since I represent the 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma, which is, no regrets. It's made me into the 88% fabulous person I am. 12% of the time I step in it. But I know that I know it's hard to believe, I used to have difficulty speaking up when I disagreed because I did not want to get attacked or I did not want my childhood habits or what happened to me as a kid when I would express my feelings and get attacked or hit or whatever it was. So I had to develop the ability, like you were saying, to actually express my opinion. I know it's hard to believe now, but if you're a person who has a tendency to not say anything and you really want to say something, but you're afraid to say something, this advice does not apply to you. Your work is to actually get the courage to speak up for yourself. And I know in, the psychological babble, it's called, have your boundaries and things like that. And I'm not a huge fan of, those kinds of terms because I think um it doesn't capture for me the full picture. It's not a, tit for tat thing. It is truly, it's not about them, it's about you. It's about your ability to say, you know um I'm not going to apologize when you step on my foot. Now, I would do that, right? Someone step on my foot, or people hated playing tennis with me because I would always, anytime I made a mistake, I go, sorry, sorry,
Mhm.
sorry, sorry, and not, so I sort of hurt myself that way. And knowing when to hold and knowing when to fold, I think is the best tool because if you're a folder, constantly, you got to get better at holding. And if you're a holder, most of the time, you got to get better at folding. You know, INTBOAD is that it's not that big of a deal, right? But if it is a big deal, then yes, open your mouth and say, I know you didn't mean to do this, but what you just said, holy bananas, that was mean. So that saying that comes from what you permit, you promote. And it comes out of that space of diversity consulting that I do. A lot of the racism that continues is because not the perpetrator, not the bully, you can't stop that. But the people around, if they're bullying someone, if you don't speak up and say, that wasn't nice, instead, if they tell a racist joke, you go, ha ha ha. No, you don't need to come back at them and say that was the stupidest racist prejudice thing to say and attack them, but it's a stepwise. First you don't laugh, then you walk away. The most courageous, especially if they're your boss, is to say, I know you didn't mean it, but it's possible that that term you just used could be seen as offensive. So I just wanted to balance out, like I like to do, the other extreme of form we should be expressing ourselves.
Yeah, that permissive passiveness. And I think we had a couple of messages in the chat from Maria. What about when you see people parking in the handicap parking spot? Should you say something? I think, unfortunately, I would say no, because in this climate, you never know what, number one, you never know if they have a weapon. Number two, you can't police other people. That is not technically your job. And I say that as a disabled veteran myself. Um, I actually have a disabled license plate, so I don't necessarily hang up my placard because it's on the back of my plate. And you're not going to see me hang a placard up. And you're not going to see it because it's on my license plate. And I get looked at because I don't necessarily look disabled. And I walk with a little modified limp. And I get offended when people are looking like, well, you don't look disabled. And I think that it's offensive, number one, because you're not necessarily always going to look disabled. And I think a lot of times you don't necessarily have to justify your disability to other people. And it's for the security and the police to enforce those rules. And sometimes people actually forget to hang up the placard. So if I do hop in someone else's car, because I do actually have a temporary placard. So if I borrow my aunt's car or I want to go with someone else, sometimes I might forget to hang it up and I might leave it in my purse. And yeah, it's a bonehead thing, but it's my fault for forgetting. And if I get a ticket, it's my fault. And I have to justify it to them. I don't necessarily have to justify it to another American. I'll have to follow those rules and deal with that. That'll be my problem. So I don't think you should have to speak up or police another person for not hanging up their placard. They need to deal with that with the law. So yeah, you can be upset for them parking in the handicap placard, and they need to follow the law and deal with whatever repercussions they have and fight the DMV for whatever ticket they get.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree that I also wouldn't say anything. It's funny. I have to point this out. Again, Maria goes into Vampira mode sometimes. And I don't know who Vampire is, but I'm imagining it's someone who is taking boss and to make sure things are fair. And let's see, is going to need her own YouTube handle eventually. Just saying. All right. So I think that's an inside joke. So I will say, yeah, haha. But I do want to say the point that Dr. Tiffany made, you just don't know. I know when I had both of my hips replaced. So in different stages of that disabledness that I was in, um, you could have said I was really taking advantage of the situation because it didn't look like I was. You just never know on the outside. That's my answer. Instead of if it's people with guns, true, but that wouldn't stop me. The my whole thing is, um, that's a great example of my tool called NOM. So when I see something or hear someone and I go, okay, nom 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 nom, none of my business. So that would be a particular thing that I would say it is none of my business. And PJ saying that you explained that well, Dr. Tiffany, and then he corrected your spelling. Isn't that nice of him? All right. I do have a question here from Orville Nation. Oh, where is it? Was I an introvert as a child? He's just curious. And that is funny. Well, listening to me now, it's impossible to think that I was ever an introvert, but it is true. I don't know if I was an actual uh, oppressed extrovert, but the punishment for me to be an extrovert was so strong that it may have suppressed my extrovert enough that it looked like I was an introvert. I was definitely not allowed to speak any part of my mind. And in fact, the one story is I would get um, beaten or hit on perceived things that I had done wrong. And if I cried, which was a reaction, I would get it more. So definitely, I was a see and not be heard. Um, I would not speak up, and that was what developed as a coping mechanism as a direct result of that. So I think introversion now, when I look at myself, I think that I have aspects of myself that is introverted. I think I'm a split extroversion, introversion. So that's my answer for you. Because, on those coffee table book, the day you were born, it says I was born on the day of the velvet voice. So that tells me that maybe I have always had something to say and I was supposed to be on the radio or on TV this whole time. All right. So that's the answer. And I know there were some reactions. Let's see. Thanks for taking that question. I'm going to use my trusty tusty. Me too. Poor thing. And thank you for that. And this is what I say to all people, all 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma, is it's important that you recognize and feel the feelings. And then it's even more important to work it through out to the other side. And I can now talk about what I went through without being back there and break down. Like sometimes I will, like if I'm in a safe setting. It was real, it hurt, it was horrible, and at the same time, not one regret because it chiseled me. It hurt, just like a sculptor chisels on a rock. Sculptor doesn't go, "Oh, nice rock, nice rock, nice rock." So there was a purpose in the chiseling, and it made me into who I am, which I do enjoy 88% of the time. All right, that was my life. Oh, Maria's identified 7 out of 10. And Maria, thank you for all of that. I just love my Kashi gallery. Sorry, Dr. Tiffany, your
Oh, no,
turn.
this is good. I agree. I had a rough, abusive childhood, so I agree.
7 out of 10.
I'm part of the crew, so I
Yeah,
totally get it.
absolutely. Let's see. Dr. Tiffany is a fabulous guest slash panelist. Boy, you're just getting a lot of love here. Let's see. Dr. Omega. Dad was never physically abusive, but very mentally domineering. He was never wrong. I have no idea what you mean by that. Sarcasm is another service I offer. Even if he was wrong, I still get butterflies in my stomach if I get in any argumentative situation. So, welcome first, Dr. Omega. Thank you for being in my cashew gallery here. You have a lot of fans that are saying hello to the Dr. O. We really have doctors in the house today.
Welcome,
and
everybody.
yeah, yeah. And you're exactly right. I also now have extreme trouble with confrontation, with anything that looks like it may take me to that place where I was helpless and where I was wrong all the time. And our work, Dr. O, is to remind ourselves that we are not that little kid that suffered all of that stuff. We are balanced Dr. O, we are balanced Dr. T, we're balanced Dr. M, we are balanced people who can watch that side of the butterflies and say, I get it, but we're not there anymore. And it is important that I express my right? It is my job to prove to that little sad one that she or he doesn't have to be afraid anymore. I got this. I'm the boss of this. I'm going to protect my little one. She's never going to suffer that way again. My little one I named Sarah. My critic is named Rose. Guess who my mother's name is? So I have this ability. Here's the tool to anchor myself in who I really am, which is balance centered, who I am, and soothe the ones that are hurt or the ones that are scared, and then take a breath and then say the best thing I could, act on my own behalf to express. And again, it's not about being right or wrong. This is such a huge revelation I just had being at home, in Canada and watching the interactions between, my brother and my mother and myself and my mother is my whole upbringing was about who's right and who's wrong. And that is such a horrific way to grow up, because then now I have the tendency to try to tell people how I'm right. And I don't like being told any kind of criticism because it triggers me into that place. And I know that's not helpful either. So it's so important to remember who you really are and then allow yourself to act on your own behalf as a whole and not just react as that hurt child or coping critic.
I think Dr. O would benefit from watching our session last week, Confronting Confrontation, last Wednesday.
Great point. Yes, we actually hit that topic head on. And I was actually vulnerable with Dr. Tiffany, and she helped me through one of the things that I was dealing with. So, yeah, great. YouTube channel, free subscribe, and you'll get an alert for every morning. Take my advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. And this is our very special Wednesday series every Wednesday. So I expect to see all y'all next Wednesday, if not every single day.
We have 1 minute left. What inspired me to become a physician? Follow me on my Instagram at Dr. Tiffany Tate Moore. And you can watch, or you can Google me at Dr. Tiffany Tate, and you can watch any one of my interviews to see why I became a physician.
Perfect. This is the. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Thanks, Dr. Tiffany. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow. Straight talk.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez has arrived at a New York court to be